Hey guys, it's Patience here. Today I'm going to be taking you along on a review of these beautiful makeup brushes, and it's a set that I got that contains 32 brushes. I hope that this helps you guys make an informed decision if you choose to purchase these brushes. I got these on Aliexpress. It's an app, and at the time I paid $10.30. And obviously based on the exchange rate, it's going to change. This is what the item looks like on the app. They have 6 colors: pink, purple, blue, champagne, which is a really pretty color. They have this wooden color with black bristles, and black, which is the one I ended up getting. This is the description they gave, as well as a few specifications that they mentioned on either the app or the website. So I purchased these about a year ago, and this is exactly what it looked like when I first got it. I collected it from Postnet, and it came wrapped in another plastic. I also thought it would be worth mentioning that I paid another 60 Rand for customs. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and do subscribe if you want to stay and watch more of these reviews. So the set came in this very convenient travel case, which you just unwrap and you can use it. It's compact. Each brush was individually wrapped in this plastic little sleeve. And when you open the compact travel case, you just roll out the brushes, which is really helpful when you go on trips and stuff. Do make sure to please give this video a thumbs up, because it goes a long way in letting me know that you're enjoying this content and that I should make more. I really wanted to give you guys an overview of when I first got these brushes. This is kind of what I expected, especially because high quality synthetic fiber brushes are exactly what I wanted. I wanted something cruelty free, and I can only hope that they're ethically sourced. Personally, I don't wear makeup too often, so I'm in no way a professional. Check my socials and you'll see that I'm just trying to give you guys the best possible review, just so that you don't waste your money if you're not a fan of how they look from my perspective. So follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter, and I'll update you guys on any other reviews that I make on this channel. So let's get into it. After we've removed the brushes from the plastic sleeves, we're going to go through each one. I've labeled them by number for easy reference. The first one is a Lash comb brush. This one is self-explanatory but different from the Spoolie, which I sometimes use to comb my brows and use it to tweeze my brows as well, brushing my hair either up or down. Then we have brush 3, which is a small fan brush. This one is used mostly for highlighting your nose, your cupid's bow. Brush 4 is a sponge eyeshadow brush, and it's used for applying eyeshadow. It's really good at picking up product, and because of the texture, it goes as far as calling it an applicator rather than a brush. It is also very similar to brush 5. When I was reading the reviews before I purchased the set, I heard that a lot of the brushes are duplicated, and I feel like the main difference was the handle. One of the brushes was a bit thicker and a bit longer compared to the other one, but they were one and the same brush. They're both eyeshadow sponge applicators. This type of brush is very common in palettes, and I'd mostly use it just for smudging and blending. It's very thin, so it picks up product well. It's also very similar to the next brush, which is brush 6. The only difference is that this one kind of has 2 colors. It has the pink and the white, versus brush 4 and 5, which are just black. This specific brush I haven't yet used, and I stand to be corrected on what its use can be apart from being an eyeshadow brush, but I did put brush 4 and 5 type of brush next to this brush and compared them. And this is them side by side. Brush 7 is a lot different. I would use this as an eyeliner brush. It can also be used for eyeshadow, especially when you want really small amounts and you want to blend them really well. The bristles are quite far apart. It's slightly similar to brush 8, except this one seems a bit more precise, so I'd call it an eyeliner brush. And putting them both side by side, you can see exactly what I mean by the actual brush is a bit more precise than brush 7. I just found that brush 8 works a lot better with a type of liquid product. Moving on to brush 9, the first thing I noticed was that it's packed a bit more densely, so I feel like it would work really well in terms of smudging your lip liner before applying your lipstick. It can also be used as an eyeshadow brush, but lip products are definitely more ideal. Brush 10 I'd call a small eyeshadow brush. I definitely use it to apply powdered sort of products onto my eyelid. It has more of a rounded tip, which helps fluff out and blend any sort of product that you've put onto it. And can I also just comment on how nice a texture these brushes are? The bristles are so soft, and I really appreciated that. The handle is a bit wobbly, but I feel that when you're starting out, you can always just glue it back on. Brush 11 is very similar to brush 10. I'd use it as well as an eyeshadow brush, and I feel that the shape is slightly different to brush 10, but in terms of feel, they feel almost exactly the same. To illustrate my point, I put them side by side just to show you that I pretty much use them for the same use. Again, the shape is slightly different, but just like with brush 12, they're both small eyeshadow brushes. And brush 12 is also very similar to brush 10 and 11. I found that it makes sense to have multiple small eyeshadow brushes, as most of the time you're dealing with different colors. You want to make sure that each of them get blended nicely without mixing into each other. So I put all three brushes next to each other just to show you that there are quite a lot of eyeshadow brushes within the set. These two were definitely the most similar, if not the same brush, but like I said, I put all three brushes next to each other just so that you could see that the shape of the brush was slightly different from each other. And from what I can recall, what made me really want to purchase this set was in one of the reviews, someone compared one of these brushes, I think it was brush 12, to a very similar Wet n Wild brush. Always make sure to read your customer reviews before purchasing anything from online shops. Brush 13 is another eyeshadow brush, very similar to brush 12 in size, but again, a very slight difference. They both have the same thickness and side profile, I felt. So what I did was I put all the brushes together, and I found that there were 2 extra brushes that were very similar. So I'm not going to go through those just based on the fact that they're all pretty much the same brush used for eyeshadow. I definitely say that this is useful when you're creating a look that requires multiple colors, purely because you won't have to clean a brush and then use it and then clean it and then use it. You can just use all of the brushes if you feel like it. The next brush we have is brush 16, which I feel is a rounder version of the brushes we've just seen. What I like about these brushes is they're very loose in terms of their bristles, so they're great at picking up powder and smudging the powder really well. However, with brush 17, I'd probably use that for concealer or a more liquid type of product, just based on the shape first of all, and we already have so many eyeshadow brushes. We're now on brush 18, and if I must say, the texture of the brush is slightly different to the eyeshadow brushes. So I definitely use this one for concealer, just because it looks like it could handle a liquid better. Brush 19 is also a concealer brush, very similar to brush 18, just slightly bigger in terms of the thickness of the bristles. Not sure if that makes sense, but it seems to have more bristles on it. So I put them side by side just so you can see what I mean, that they're very, very similar, even in terms of the thickness of the brush. Brush 20 is already different. It could be used for contour. So I decided to name this one because it's a bit slanted, an angled contour brush. Now, you can contour with either a darker shade of concealer or a powdered contour. It's all dependent on you, but I feel like this brush works for both. Brush 21 is another concealer brush. I did feel like it would work well for liquid products, especially based on how packed the bristles are. I did take brush 21 and I compared it to brush 22, which is the next coming brush, and I felt that these brushes were very similar and can be used interchangeably. That being said, I feel like we have enough concealer brushes, so I felt like this brush could be used mainly for eyeshadow, as a larger eyeshadow brush, especially when creating a cut crease after laying your concealer on, and then using it to pack powder on top of that. So this is the combination I'd use for that. Brush 24 has slightly looser bristles, which leads me to believe it's an angled eyeshadow brush. That's at least what I use it for. It's really good at blending product. Brush 25 is rounded at its tip, and I mostly use it for the inside of the corner of my eye for just creating some highlight there. Brush 26 is definitely the most intriguing one. It's used for shading your nose, and I really love how flat the top is because it allows you to just pack on product onto the tip and then smudge it. Just give this video a like if you're enjoying it so far. So yeah, it's definitely able to contour your nose quite well. When it comes to brush 27, we've definitely seen one similar. I'd used this brush for concealer, and I found that it was very, very similar to brush 19. So I put them side by side just so that you could see. And if you recall, we now have more than 2 brushes for concealer. So these 3 brushes, brush 21, brush 27, brush 19, pretty much are able to serve the same purpose. Let's move on to a different type of brush. Here we have a foundation / large concealer brush. And I definitely have a brush similar to this that I use to apply foundation, and I bought it from the Body Shop, and it definitely feels very similar to this one. This is why I'd use this one as a larger concealer brush. But really good quality, feels really soft. Brush 29 is a lot fluffier than the other brushes we've looked at. I found that it's really good for powder, so I'd use it for blush. And when applying blush, you just dip it into your product and you smile and apply it to the highest parts of your cheekbones. And you don't need much product, so this brush is perfect and fluffy. Brush 30 is also a very relatively fluffy brush, and I definitely use it for powder, either for setting powder or for powder that you use to sort of warm up your face again. And as you can hopefully see, it's quite packed and it's not too dense. It just has enough bristles to make sure that you get that kind of fluffy feel on your skin. And now we have a slanted brush. I call this one an angled powder brush, and I definitely use it to kind of create that 3 on your face when you're applying a contour type of shade. It's also really fluffy like the previous brush, so you could probably also use it for the same purpose as brush 30. So you can use it to contour your face if you prefer a powdered contour, or you could use it as bronzer to kind of bronze your face, the side of your cheeks. This is the last brush we have. It is quite big and it is definitely a large fan brush. We did see a smaller fan brush, but I think this one is to dust off powder after you've baked, if you're into baking. But yeah, it's really soft, got really soft bristles, and it's packed quite nicely as well. I hope you found it useful, me going through each brush. I should mention as well that the handle is a little bit smaller than I expected. However, it does get the job done, and these bristles are so impressive, especially for the price point. I would definitely suggest purchasing these brushes for someone who's just started with makeup, a beginner, or someone who's learning or doesn't wear makeup that often before making a big investment. So let me quickly show you guys how I wash my brushes. I use this, it's actually a facial cleanser that I bought from Mr. Price, not knowing that it wasn't for brushes, but it cleans them really, really well. You just stick it down to a surface and it's sturdy, it doesn't move, she's not going anywhere. It is part of the Scarlet Hill range in case anyone wants to know. So what I do is I use a soap that is good for my face. I can either rub it onto this and then I take my brush and I kind of put the bristles through just to make sure that they all get clean and it gets all sudsy with the soap. And so I make sure to wash it very thoroughly, avoiding the handle and trying to get the wooden part wet because I wouldn't want to ruin it. And that's basically it. I make sure that I use Lifebuoy just purely because my skin doesn't necessarily react to it. So another way to do it is to take your brush and actually rub it on the soap and then brush it into this little device. And obviously your brush needs to be wet so it foams up quite nicely. And yeah, you just make sure that you thoroughly clean your brushes as often as you can. It doesn't have to be after every use, but recommended. And yeah, guys, that brings us to the end of this review. I hope you enjoyed going through each and every brush with me and you came away with something and I managed to teach you something. Like I said, I'm not a professional. I wear makeup casually and not that often, so this brush set was perfect for me personally. And make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed it. If you guys want to see more, just comment down below and let me know what you thought. If you don't like it, tell me why, but follow me on social media if you guys want to DM me and ask me anything, or if you have any suggestions of what other videos you'd like to see. And yeah, guys, give this video a thumbs up if you got this far and you enjoyed it. Bye, guys. And thank you so much once again for watching and for supporting me.